I never expected a single ding from my security app to flip my entire neighborhood upside down. But that night, when my phone buzzed at 2 a.m., I opened the live feed and froze. There she was, Karen, the self-appointed queen of our cul-de-sac, sneaking across my porch like a cartoon villain who'd forgotten she lived in the real world. What I didn't know then was that this clip would expose far more than a petty thief. It would unravel a story of obsession, lies, and a battle she thought she could win by silencing my cameras forever. It all began 3 weeks earlier when I installed a pair of sleek, motion-activated security cameras on my front door and driveway. I wasn't trying to start a neighborhood war. I just wanted to stop the constant package thefts that had been plaguing the street. But to Karen, my cameras weren't security tools. They were weapons of harassment, as she called them. The morning after I installed them, she stormed up to my door with the force of a tax auditor and the expression of someone who had never been told no in her entire life. She jabbed her finger toward the camera like she was trying to poke it through the screen and shouted loud enough for even the mailman 2 houses down to hear. "These cameras have to go!" she screamed. "You're violating my privacy, the HOA rules, and the sacred peace of this neighborhood." I calmly explained that not only were the cameras completely legal, but they also pointed only at my own property. This, of course, made her even angrier. Karen didn't want facts. She wanted control. And the cameras represented something she couldn't manipulate. From that day forward, she made it her mission to get them removed. She filed complaints with the HOA, sent me 3-page letters printed in Comic Sans about electronic surveillance, harassment, and even tried to rally neighbors to sign a petition. Most ignored her. A few laughed. One guy pretended to sign just to get her off his porch. But Karen wasn't done. Late one evening, while I sat inside reviewing footage of yet another suspicious delivery disappearance, I caught a flicker of motion on the driveway camera. At first I assumed it was another stray cat, but when I tapped to enlarge the video, my jaw dropped. I replayed the clip again just to steady my thoughts, making sure every frame showed exactly what it looked like. No tricks, no confusion, just the truth staring back at me. Absolutely certain. It was Karen, hood up, flashlight off, and she was walking straight toward my packages. This was no misunderstanding. No accident. She was caught, red-handed, by the very cameras she demanded I remove. I stared at the footage, replaying it again and again, half expecting the universe to tap me on the shoulder and explain this was some bizarre dream. But every replay showed the same undeniable truth. Karen, clutching one of my Amazon packages like she was saving it from a fire, then scurrying away into the night. The woman who fought tooth and nail to ban my cameras had walked straight into their spotlight. By morning, the clip had already been backed up to the cloud, downloaded to my phone, and emailed to myself for good measure. I knew exactly what Karen would do if she realized I had evidence. Deny everything. Twist the story, maybe even claim I staged the whole scene. She had a talent for rewriting reality when it suited her. Sure enough, at 9 a.m. sharp, she strutted toward my house in her robe and slippers like some self-proclaimed neighborhood sheriff on patrol. She didn't know yet that I'd seen the footage. She didn't know that her little midnight adventure was about to come back to haunt her. She knocked on my door with the confidence of someone who believed she had the upper hand. "I need to talk to you," she demanded. Again, I opened the door just enough to show her. I was listening, not enough to invite her theatrics inside. "These cameras," she began, tilting her chin upward, "are causing disruptions. I heard from multiple neighbors that they're uncomfortable. You need to take them down by the end of the day, or I'll escalate this to the highest level of the HOA." It took everything in me not to laugh. I crossed my arms. "Karen, are you sure that's the hill you want to die on?" She narrowed her eyes. "Don't threaten me." "Oh, I'm not threatening you," I replied calmly. "I'm asking if you're absolutely certain you want the cameras gone, because they're doing a pretty good job at catching things." Her face twitched. Just a flicker, but enough for me to notice. A tiny crack in her armor. "What things?" she snapped. I didn't answer. Instead, I stepped back inside and returned with my phone. I held it up, screen facing her, and tapped play. The color drained from her face. Her mouth opened just slightly, then closed. Then opened again like she was rebooting. There was no spin she could put on what she was watching. No angle. No excuse. No dramatic speech that would get her out of this. That's not me," she stammered. "Karen," I said quietly, "you are literally wearing that robe right now." She glanced down, realizing the identical outfit betrayed her even more. For once, Karen, queen of confrontation, had no comeback. Karen stood frozen on my porch, eyes glued to the screen, watching herself commit the very crime she'd spent weeks blaming on unruly neighborhood teenagers. For a moment, It felt like time folded in on itself, the queen of rules, the self-appointed guardian of community morality, caught in the most ironic scandal our street had ever seen. She tried to recover, inhaling sharply as if oxygen alone could fix her situation. There must be a mistake, she insisted. The lighting, the angle, the camera could be malfunctioning. It's a security camera, I reminded her, not a funhouse mirror. Her face twitched again, frustration replacing panic. She took a step forward as if getting physically closer to the screen would magically change the footage. When that didn't work, she attempted her next favorite tactic, defensiveness. Well, even if that's me, which it isn't, you had no right to film my property. I raised an eyebrow. Karen, that's my porch, my packages, my camera. And unless you've been secretly living on my doorstep, none of this has anything to do with your property. She opened her mouth but snapped it shut, clearly unable to craft a logical response. Logic wasn't her strong suit, control was. And with the evidence right in front of her, she had lost every ounce of it. Then came tactic number 3, emotional manipulation. I've been under a lot of stress lately, she said dramatically, placing a hand over her heart. The neighborhood relies on me. I handle so much. I barely sleep. Maybe I was confused. Confused about what? I asked. Stealing packages? No, she barked, then softened her tone. I was checking them. For safety. Safety, I repeated slowly. At 2 in the morning, she hesitated, then nodded as if that bizarre lie somehow made sense. Yes, I thought I saw someone suspicious earlier. I was just protecting the neighborhood. I stared at her for a long moment, wondering if she genuinely believed anyone would buy that story. But then again, Karen had always lived in a world where she controlled the narrative, where people nodded to avoid her wrath instead of challenging her logic. Not this time. Karen, here's what's going to happen, I said firmly. You're going to return every package you've taken. You're going to stop harassing me about my cameras, and you're going to keep your distance from my property. If you don't, this video goes straight to the police. Her eyes widened. You wouldn't. I would, I said simply. And you know I'm telling the truth. For the first time since she moved into the neighborhood, Karen looked genuinely scared. Karen swallowed hard, her eyes darting between me, the camera above my door, and the sidewalk behind her as if searching for an escape hatch that didn't exist. For once she wasn't yelling, threatening, or waving imaginary HOA bylaws in my face. She was simply just stuck, caught by her own hypocrisy and the very technology she had worked so passionately to outlaw. I can fix this, she whispered, almost to herself. I just need a moment. People listen to me. I have influence. Not anymore, I replied. Not after this. Her jaw clenched, and for a second, I could see the old Karen fighting to resurface, the one who believed arguments could be won by sheer volume. But she knew. Deep down, she knew the evidence was airtight. The cameras she hated had captured the truth with perfect clarity. The queen of the cul-de-sac had been dethroned by emotion alert. Without another word, Karen turned and walked away, not storming off dramatically like she usually did, but trudging slowly, shoulders sagging, as if each step weighed more than the last. I watched her disappear into her house, shutting the door quietly instead of slamming it. That alone was historic. A few hours later, I opened my door to find a small pile of packages neatly stacked on my welcome mat. Some were mine, some belonged to neighbors. All had sticky notes attached in Karen's unmistakable handwriting. Found these. Must have fallen over the fence. Accidentally delivered to my house. Misplaced. Sorry for confusion. Every note was a lie, but at least the packages were back. I didn't confront her again. I didn't need to. She knew she'd crossed a line, and she knew the footage was still in my possession. The neighborhood didn't need her dramatic explanations. They needed their parcels back. And suddenly, everyone was getting them, with no mysterious disappearances. Word spread fast. People noticed the sudden improvement. They noticed the sticky notes. They noticed Karen being unusually quiet at HOA meetings, avoiding eye contact, skipping her usual speeches about maintaining community, integrity. The woman who lived for attention now avoided it like sunlight. One neighbor asked me what happened. I just smiled and said, the cameras worked. From then on, the package theft stopped completely. Karen kept to herself, and my security cameras remained exactly where they were, watching, recording, and reminding everyone that the truth doesn't care about who shouts the loudest. In the end, Karen didn't get my cameras banned. She didn't get me fined. She didn't even get away with the thefts she'd been committing for months. The only thing she managed was getting caught by her own crusade. If you enjoyed watching Karen get exposed, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss crazy Hoa stories. Drop a comment below. Which part shocked you the most? And don't forget to like if you want more wild neighborhood drama.